Go. Hey guys, last adventure here, talking about one of the most amazing experiences you can have, hiking the Grand Canyon rim to rim, all in the course of one day. Or as I like to call it, so you like to hike the Grand Canyon? Guys, everyone knows what the Grand Canyon is. One of the greatest features of North America and one of the greatest features worldwide. At over 200 miles in length and over 10 miles wide for most of its distance, it is something that is well known around the world and even from space, let's be honest. So let's focus on the key salient facts of doing this trek. So, number one, you've got logistics. If you want to hike the Grand Canyon, timing is everything. There are two rims, North Rim, South Rim. South Rim is open year-round. North Rim is only open for part of the year because of winter. Add in the fact that Arizona is a desert state that does get quite hot. You do need to time this trek accordingly. The best way to do this is the way I did it. You're going to take a shuttle from the Bright Angel Lodge on the South Rim. It is a paid shuttle, so be sure to arrange this in advance. Takes you all the way around the Grand Canyon up to the North Rim. The advantage to this is you don't need to shuttle a car, you don't need to rely on anyone else, and most importantly, if you're doing this in one day, you do not need a permit. Now, multiple days, you will need to arrange with the National Park Service for a permit, but for one day, no permit. Moving on, once you've arrived at the North Rim, you're going to want to have lodging. There is a hotel there. Lodging is very popular there. You're going to need to arrange that in advance. There's also a campground. Be sure you find lodging before you start your trek because you are going to need a place to stay unless you plan to literally get off the shuttle and start walking. So, having covered the logistics, let's move on to the trek itself. The Grand Canyon, as I covered in the beginning, is a very vast expanse. It ain't no Grand Canyon 1.0, it ain't no Grand Canyon 2.0, it is the Grand Canyon. So, you need to be in shape. This is important. The National Park Service does not recommend many things throughout the whole entirety of its units. The Grand Canyon in particular, they do not recommend that you go from the rim to the river in a day. And they most definitely do not recommend that you go from rim to rim in a day. Why am I telling you this right now? I want you to understand this is very difficult. I've done many grueling things, climbing Kilimanjaro, climbing Mount Whitney in the snow in a day, going up Mount Cook. I've been all over the world doing adventures. Grand Canyon is difficult, but is it insurmountable? Heck no, just train for it. Training is everything for these big feats. So, be aware, National Park Service does not recommend that you do this. But if you train and you do this safely, you will be fine, and I'll explain why. Starting at the North Rim, you're going to take the North Kaibab Trail down to the base of the canyon. You'll be at Phantom Ranch. This is 14 miles of distance. It's all downhill. You're going to want to get an early start as I did, as you'll see in the video. Probably start early in the morning, 2, 3, 4 a.m. Depends on your speed, depends on your training. If you feel you need more time, maybe even midnight. However, this is the easiest part of the hike. It's all downhill, right guys? So you're gonna get to the Phantom Ranch at around mile 14, and then the difficult part starts. From the Phantom Ranch, you have two options to get back up to the other rim. Number one is South Kaibab Trail, a little more difficult, a little more steeper. And then you have the Bright Angel Trail. This is the trail I recommend. This is the route I did. I took North Kaibab Trail down to Phantom Ranch, again 14 miles, and then from Phantom Ranch up the Bright Angel Trail. That is 10 miles, looking at 24 and a half miles roughly, a little extra distance in there to get from parking areas and such. So that is a long day. At Phantom Ranch, it's all uphill. It's all direct sun. You gotta time this right. You gotta get that early start. You gotta be ready to be up on the far southern slope toward the early morning, middle of the day. You don't wanna be out there at the end of the day in the direct hot heat. This is bad. So, gotta train, gotta follow the route, and gotta time it right. The best time to do this hike, in my opinion, is in the fall. That is when I went. Again, you do not need a permit for one day. No permit one day. Multi-days, definitely need a permit. Remember that. So, you're gonna follow that route. you're gonna train, and you're gonna be fine. Because if you trained, you've got a map, you can follow the route, you're gonna have a great time. There are water stations along the way. You don't need to worry about carrying a ton of water, and the trail is well marked. Now, don't become complacent. You still need a map, GPS, need to know where you're going, but it was well marked and it's very easy to follow. My favorite part of the hike, guys, going up from Phantom Ranch up that Bright Angel Trail. You go through some amazing scenery and it's just an amazing experience. So, I know you guys aren't here to hear me talk. Let's take a look at the footage of my hike, which was in October. Again, plan your time right, train for the hike, have a great time, and I'll touch base when we're at the Phantom Ranch. Let's take a look. Hey guys, hope you're enjoying the video. As you can see, I didn't shoot a ton of footage in the dark coming down the North Kaibab Trail. I think you'd probably be bored by it. I would like to go back at a later date, see the North Kaibab in all its glory, because frankly at night you can't see very much, but for purposes of doing the rim to rim in a day, sacrifices had to be made. I'm about to arrive at Phantom Ranch. This is a great stop and a good way to check yourself as you're doing the route. We got a really good early morning start. We were crushing those early morning miles in the dark, and by the time I got to Phantom Ranch, it was time for a well-deserved rest. They have food at Phantom Ranch. If you don't want to arrange dining there, you can get a $5 lemonade. I know it may sound cheesy, but that is some of the best lemonade you can have, especially after going 14 miles. I really enjoyed my time at the Phantom Ranch. It was a great break, and it was a good rest stop before the grind of going back up to the rim. Because remember, what goes down must come up. See you at the end, guys. Hey guys, as you can see, we survived rim to rim in one day, starting up at the north rim and then ending up at the south rim. Again, I just want to point out, this is not a recommended route for the National Park Service. The trails are maintained, there is water. It's just a question of physical fitness and ability. There are a lot of rescues on the trails of the Grand Canyon, so you should be aware of that. This is a daunting trek, you should be aware of that. I will freely admit, in the last half mile on the Bright Angel Trail, I was hating life, guys. I mean, 24 miles in a day is a lot for anyone, but the point is, I was still in a condition to finish the hike. You need to train for this hike. I hope I've emphasized that enough. I think I have. This is a really great experience. I'd wanted to do it pretty much my whole life, and I probably will go back at some time, either on a multi-day trek or another one-day trek to do this again. If you've done this, comment on the end of my video and tell me what you think of it. If you're thinking about it, leave some comments and I'll answer your questions. Thanks so much for watching, guys.